So Boaz owns the field Ruth just happened to wander into, and he has shown an interest in her. Now, in the last line po of chapter 2, literally po the last verses, and she lived with her mother-in-law. So, I think that's again po na hindi pa tapos yung story po natin, di ba? For anyone po here, I don't think that is an ideal situation po, di ba? There are mothers-in-law, fathers-in-law who are very good people, but still, this is not ideal pa rin po, even for Ruth and Naomi. So if we would po, I invite everyone tayo po ay magstayo po lang muna habang atin pong basahin itong Ruth chapter 3. Kasundan nyo na lang po habang babasahin ko po. Ruth 3, Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, My daughter, should I not seek rest for you, that it may be well with you? Is not Boaz our relative with whose young women you were? See, he is winnowing barley tonight at the threshing floor. Wash therefore and anoint yourself, and put on your cloak, and go down to the threshing floor, but do not make yourself known to the man till he has finished eating and drinking. But when he lies down, observe the place where he lies. Then go and uncover his feet, and lie down, and he will tell you what to do. And she replied, All that you say I will do. So she went down to the threshing floor, and did just as her mother-in-law had commanded her. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain. Then she came softly and uncovered his feet and lay down. At midnight the man was startled and turned over, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. He said, Who are you? And she answered, I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer. And he said, May you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made this last kindness greater than the first, in that you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you ask, for all my fellow townsmen know that you are a worthy woman. And now it is true that I am a redeemer, yet there is a redeemer nearer than I. Remain tonight, and in the morning, if he will redeem you, good, let him do it. But if he is not willing to redeem you, then as the Lord lives, I will redeem you. Lie down until the morning. So she lay at his feet until the morning, but arose before one could recognize another. And he said, Let it not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor. And he said, Bring the garment you are wearing and hold it out. So she held it, and he measured out 6 measures of barley and put it on her. Then she went into the city. And when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, How did you fare, my daughter? Then she told her all that the man had done for her, saying, These 6 measures of barley he gave to me. For he said to me, You must not go back empty-handed to your mother-in-law. She replied, Wait, my daughter, until you learn how the matter turns out, for the man will not rest, but will settle the matter today. These are the words of the Lord. Salamat po. Mali po kayo magsimula. Risky Faith. Yan po ang title po ng ating pag-aaralan po this morning. Risky Faith from Ruth chapter 3. So, risky faith po. Or can we also call it risque faith? Ibang spelling lang po ba yun? Or, di ba? Ano po ba ang risque? According to the dictionary po, risque is slightly indecent and liable to shock. So, it's suggestive po. So, slightly indecent and liable to shock. Minsan nakakagulat po. So, sa binasa po nating kwento, di ba? It's not just risky faith. Is it also risque faith? So we live in an era when claiming the title of Christian generally makes your life better. Totoo po yan, di ba? Sa mga may business po sa atin dito, pag alam po ng tao na Christian kayo, they want to deal with you. Alam nila na mabuting tao ka. So, if they have a choice between buying from someone, from a person who is an unbeliever and from someone who is a Christian, usually, alam nila kung sino yung mas mabuting tao. Doon sila sa, ito, maka-Diyos yan, doon tayo. Yung social standing natin, ganun din kapag Kristiyano tayo. Especially, di ba, mga politiko po, laging ginagamit yan. Maka-pamilya, maka-Diyos, di ba? Yan po ang gusto ng tao eh. Kung hindi ka magpapakilala ng maka-Diyos, huwag ka na umasa na iboboto ka ng tao. At least, di ba, sabihin mo maka-Diyos ka, kahit hindi totoo yun. Yun ang ginagawa po ng mga politiko natin. So, ang danger naman po doon, we are living in the most comfortable form of Christianity that has ever existed. Dahil nga napaka-common na Christianity makes your life better, being called a Christian. So ngayon, dahil doon, we are living in the most comfortable form of Christianity. But as we saw from Ruth chapter 3, there is a faith that causes us to risk our comfort and even safety. Baka hindi na po natin na-experience yun, baka foreign concept na yun sa atin. This is what we see in Ruth, a faith that causes her to take massive risks while believing that God will take care of her and provide. So in our study of Ruth chapter 3, makikita po natin there is a risky setting, a risky pursuit, and of course, the risk will also have a reward. So the risky setting po, kung umpisa natin, ano ba yung setting ng kwento? Ano yung nilayout ng author na setting para sa atin, di ba? These are some of the shadiest sounding verses in all of Scripture. Again, is it risky or risky? Di ba? If you think this sounds a bit shady to us, to the original Hebrew audience, it would have sounded even more scandalous to them. Binasa po natin kanina, kung binasa niyo po maigi yun. Yun nga, parang nakakagulat di ba? Ano ba yung descriptions nun? Ano yung pinagawa ni Naomi kay Ruth? Ano yung kailangan gawin ni Ruth para makausap si Boaz? So, to the original Hebrew audience po, kung tayo medyo nagulat sa binasa natin, for sure, mas nagulat po sila noon. Yan po yung some of the words na binasa natin kanina. There was lying down. There was uncovering of the feet. Sinabi ni Naomi kay Ruth, He will tell you what to do. So, di ba po? Inutos ni Naomi kay Ruth, puntahan mo si Boaz habang natutulog siya, tanggalin mo yung kumot sa kanyang paa, mahiga ka lang doon sa kanyang paanan. Then, He will tell you what to do. Paano na lang kung iba yung sinabi mo ni Boaz, di ba? So, ano po bang point nila for doing that? Bakit niya kailangan gawin yun? Now, there may be some who would think na okay naman pala para sa kababaihan na mag-pursue ng gusto nilang lalaki na pakasalan, di ba? Ito nasa Ruth eh. Yun yung ginawa ni Ruth eh. So, parang ito na ba yung example natin? Ito na ba yung pattern natin na okay lang naman pala? Mamaya, sagutin po natin yan na iwanan muna natin yun. Now, the reason po, bakit kinailangan ni Ruth gawin kung ano yung ginawa niya, is because wala na nga po siyang asawa, hindi po ba? And wala din siyang ama. Again, there was no man in their family. The normal process po, the normal procedure would have been dapat yung tatay po niya ang magbibigay ng marriage proposal kay Boaz. Yung tatay niya ang lalapit kay Boaz with a marriage proposal. But again, that was not an option here dahil byuda nga po siya. And si Naomi, byuda din. So, itong ginawa po nila na pinapuntahan ni Naomi si Boaz kay Ruth habang natutulog si Boaz, this may have been the only way that they could get him alone. So siguro po, yun yung iniisip ni Ruth po ng time na yun. How do I get you alone, di ba? Paano ba kita makakausap na ikaw lang? Kasi po, again, iba po yung culture nila ng time na yun. Hindi naman po pwede na lalapit lang basta si Ruth kay Boaz in public and Boaz, will you marry me? Wala pong gumagawa po nun. So, she needed to get him alone. So again, there are some things that can easily be missed in our culture. Some of these things po, we read about the barley and wheat season is winding down. So tag-ani po, di ba, ng barley. Pero patapos na po yung harvest. Si Boaz, as we saw in chapter 2, nagpakita siya ng interest kay Ruth. Pero hindi niya po directly pinursue pa rin si Ruth. And apparently, there is an age gap between them. Mas matanda po si Boaz compared kay Ruth. So now, there is a sense of urgency and Naomi is calling Ruth to action. So, okay, sa mga kwento po na narinig ni Naomi from Ruth, alam niya na si Boaz interesado kay Ruth. And yet, hindi pa rin siya liniligawan, hindi pa rin siya pinupursue. So ngayon, meron ng sense of urgency kay Naomi na Ruth, baka kailangan ikaw na ang magbigay ng proposal sa kanya. So So Naomi is also telling her that it's officially time to move on from her son. We saw this in verse 3. Sinabi ni Naomi kay Ruth, "Wash therefore and anoint yourself." Pareho po ito na ginawa ni King David po nung siya po ay namatayan ng anak kay Bathsheba. So syempre nag-mourn po siya, diba? Pero after that period of mourning, he also washed and anointed himself. Also, this would not have been a safe venture and was by no means a normal course of action. So, pinag-iingat po ni Naomi si Ruth. Sinabi niya, di ba? Make sure you don't pick the wrong man. Kasi, madilim po nun, gabi. Di ba? Pinapunta po ni Naomi si Ruth kay Boaz kung kailan nagpapahinga na si Boaz. Ang instruction niya pa nga, di ba? Kung kailan nakakain at nakainom na. So, hindi nalilinaw doon kung ano yung ininom. Pero we can assure po that pwedeng wine po, di ba? So, nakainom po siya. And pupuntahan siya gabi habang natutulog. What if mali pong lalaki yung tinabihan po ni Ruth, di ba? There was also a risk that Boaz would have misinterpreted her intentions and have been offended. And even the timing feels risky. Again po, di ba? Gabi nga po yun. Now, bakit specific yung instructions po ni Naomi kay Ruth na hintayin mong nakakain at nakainom na at nagpapahinga na? Sa mga may asawa po dito, baka alam niyo din po yan. And si Naomi po siguro alam niya din yun, being widowed and formerly married herself. Hindi po ba minsan sa kababaihan po, meron kayong ipapagawa sa asawa niyo? Normally gagawin niya yun eh. Pero pag sinabi niyo sa kanya kung kailan pagod na siya, gutom na siya, hindi niya gagawin yun. Ako po na-experience ko po yun. May papagawa sa akin, yung pagod na ako, hindi ko na kaya. Tapos, mapapagalitan ako, so magsaskuli ako. Gagawin ko din naman. Amen po, di ba? Ayun po. So, baka po, yun ang iniiwasan po nila. Baka hungry po si Boaz. Alam niyo po yung hungry po, di ba? Gutom kaya galit din. So, ngayon po, knowing that setting, nakabahan na ba kayo para kay Ruth? Ano kaya pwedeng nangyari doon, di ba? On the risky pursuit, Ruth went down to the threshing floor. She waited for Boaz to eat, drink, and lie down. Then she came and uncovered his feet. At midnight, Boaz woke up, saw her, and asked, "Who are you?" Ruth then answered, "I am Ruth, your servant. Spread your wings over your servant, for you are a redeemer." Again, this is not our typical Hebrew love story. Throughout the whole book of Ruth, and even throughout the whole Bible po, in other books of the Bible where Ruth and Boaz are mentioned, they are always held up as models of faith and character. There is nowhere po that we will find na inappropriate po si Ruth, si Boaz, or sabihin na nagkasala po sila. So, probably the lifting of the sheet is just a way of ensuring that his feet would get cold and he would wake up. Siguro tinanggal lang po yung kumot sa paa niya para magising siya. Now, even if wala pong masamang nangyari nun, wala pong naging kasalanan na nangyari between Ruth and Boaz, kung isipin pa rin natin, parang creepy pa rin di ba? Natutulog ka, tapos may magtatanggal ng kumot sa paa, tatabihan ka. So, kahit walang masamang nangyari doon, creepy pa rin yun eh. Pero pwede natin isipin na inosente lang din. Parang minsan po, natutulog ako, tapos magigising ako, si Pierre nakaupo sa tabi ko, tapos tinitingnan lang ako habang natutulog ako. Anak ko yun eh, wala naman siyang masamang gagawin eh. Siguro, love na love niya lang ako, or gusto niyang gumising na ako para may kalaro siya ulit. So, ganun lang, tinitingnan niya lang ako. Sana po hindi naman parang ganyan, di ba? Naalala niyo po yung paranormal activity. May movie po na ganyan dati na habang natutulog meron palang mga presensya na pelikula lang naman yan syempre. Pero dinagay ko po niya kasi tama-tama kakatapos na po ng undas, di ba? Bonus din po yan sa mga 90s kids po. Dati po, yung bata tayo, nanonood tayo ng Magandang Gabi Bayan, di ba? Syempre, 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m. Malapit ng dumilim, tapos saka tayo utusan bumili ng mantika sa tindahan. So, nakakatakot po lumabas, di ba? Again po, ayan, sinabi po ni Ruth kay Boaz, she asks him to spread his wings over her. This is when it becomes clear that she's asking for marriage. Sa ibang translation po, ang sinabi doon ay, spread your cloak or spread your garment over me. Takluban mo ako ng cloak mo. So that is really asking for marriage. But there's more po in this chapter that we are studying. In this specific version po, sinabi, spread your wings over me. The author is using the same word, wings here, as he did back in chapter 2 when Boaz says. Ito po, si Boaz po ang nagkasalita nito in Ruth chapter 2, verse 12. The Lord will pay you for what you have done, and the full reward be given you by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. So yung wings po dito and yung wings na ginamit ni Ruth, ay pareho po. So what is the significance of that? There is no coincidence. This is no coincidence. Ruth is saying, do you remember what you prayed for, Boaz? I want you to be the way the Lord answers that prayer. Yan po sinabi ni Boaz kay Ruth eh. The Lord will pay you for what you have done. And this is the Lord under whose wings you have come to take refuge. Now it is Ruth saying to Boaz, spread your wings over me. Kung paano sinabi mo na pagpalain ka ng Panginoon, di ba? Now, I want you to be the means by which God will do exactly that. So again po, yung atin pong nabanggit kanina, ito na po ba yung pattern natin para sa young ladies, young single ladies in the church na i-pursue po yung kanilang gustong binata po, di ba? Kung yun lang po yung alam natin sa kwento, eh, siguro ganun nga yung magiging conclusion natin. Pero, hindi naman po yun lang yung alam natin eh. Madaming ibang detalye po itong kwento eh. So, what we can interpret from this lesson is this. Si Boaz po, nakita natin na interesado siya kay Ruth. Pero, wala siyang ginagawa para talagang i-pursue si Ruth. No, what if po, sa panahon natin, meron din pong ganun, di ba? Meron isang dalaga, meron isang binata. Na obviously yung binata po may gusto dito kay dalaga. Pero hindi siya nag-express talaga ng intention niya eh. Anong gusto niya? Hangout lang. Alam niyo po ba yan? Hangout lang. So, lalabas sila, kakain, enjoy, nagta-time zone, gano'n. Pero hindi niya talaga ini-express kung anong gusto niya. So, ang equivalent po ni Ruth sa panahon natin would be just this. Yung dalaga po, sabihin niya dun sa lalaki, I'm really enjoying my time with you. Pero this is also not healthy for me na hindi mo talaga sinasabi sa akin ano bang intention mo, ano bang gusto mo mangyari sa atin, di ba? Hindi mo linilinaw. I think bang bata po, may mga kilala po akong gano'n na young people sa church. Bata, ako yung bata, sila yung dalaga na parang hindi na ako magpapangalan siya. Pero alam niyo na po kasi. Ganun po, kumbaga meron pong naliligaw na hindi talaga naliligaw, hindi siya sure. So there is a fine line between risky faith and faithlessness. Risky faith steps out in belief that God will do something. Faithlessness, on the other hand, steps out because of a lack of faith that God will act. Faithlessness is taking things into your own hands because you don't believe that God will give it to you otherwise. So there is a difference po between risky faith and faithlessness. Ang example po natin dito, naalala po ba natin yung story ni Lot, ng kanyang daughters po, di ba? So si Lot po, kasama ng kanyang pamilya ay tumakas po mula sa Sodom and Gomorrah bago po ito ay tuluyang sinunog ng Panginoon. Sa kanilang pag-alis po, yung asawa ni Lot, lumingon siya pabalik. And they were warned about doing that. So she turned into a pillar of salt. So naiwan po si Lot and his two daughters. Itong dalawang anak po ni Lot na magaling. Eh, naisip nila, paano pa tayo magkakaroon ng sariling pamilya natin? Paano pa tayo magkakaroon ng asawa? Eh, wala na yung Sodom and Gomorrah. So ang ginawa nila, nilasing nila yung kanilang ama. At nagkaroon sila ng anak. Ano ba yun? Anak nila, anak din ni Lot. So, apo ni Lot, anak din niya. Basta, nagbunga po yung incest mo nila. Nagkaroon sila ng anak with their father, Lot. Now, nakikita po ba natin yung similarity nito or not similarity? Kumbaga yung connection po nito kay Ruth. Two stories, both involving two women scheming to preserve the family line. Di po ba ganyan din yung ginagawa ni Ruth? Dahil biyuda si Naomi, biyuda din si Ruth. And then they want to continue the family line using Levitical law. So they are pursuing Boaz to preserve the family line. And then si Lot po and si Boaz, parehas ding nakainom. And in both cases, a woman walks away with the seed. Ang gusto ko dito yung walks away with the seed. Si Ruth, she walks away with barley seed. Di ba? Nagpabaon po si Boaz sa kanya. Pero, yung anak po ni Lot, she walks away with the son. And the son's name is Moab. Yung po yung naging anak po ng anak ni Lot sa kanyang anak, si Moab, who became the father of Ruth's people. The original readers would have seen Ruth as a shining light coming out of a sad background. So, nakikita po natin na kung paano nag-umpisa yung angkan ni Ruth. Yung buong family line niya, the whole nation of Moab, how they started out from incest. And now, here we have Ruth being a shining light, being an example coming out of that sad background. The two stories are a perfect contrast. Lot's daughters took matters into their own hands because of a lack of faith, but Ruth is taking initiative because of an abundance of faith. So yun po yung difference ng risky faith and faithlessness. Minsan po, maybe we are thinking na, di ba po sinabi natin kayo ng umpisa, I will trust the Lord, so maghihintay na lang ako. That's one way of doing it, I guess. Do nothing. And there's another way, yung faithlessness naman, hindi ko talaga makitang kikilos ang Panginoon ako na gagawa ng paraan. So minsan gagawa ka ng paraan, pero mali. Yun yung faithlessness naman po. Taking action because you don't believe that God will do something. Now, what we are studying here is risky faith. Yung ginawa po ni Ruth. She took action, but not because she was faithless. Instead, she took action because, exactly, she believed that God would do something. So God is using Ruth's risky faith to bring redemption to a sin that has spanned generations. Again po, the whole nation of Moab. So ilang generation na po yun na sinumpa ng Panginoon because of the sin of Lot. Yung naging anak niya na si Moab. But now, there is redemption through Ruth. Also, yung line po ni Boaz. Do you remember who Boaz's mom was? Rahab. Sino po ba si Rahab? Rahab was a Canaanite prostitute. So we have the merging of the morally questionable pagan Canaanite line through Boaz and the pagan Moabite line through Ruth, displaying God's plan for His love and grace to all nations, bringing us into one family of faith. Nakikita po natin dito kung ano yung klase ng faith or pananampalataya po na is being expected of us as Christians. If we are a Christian, if you call yourself a Christian, God is going to call you to do things that feel risky. He will call you out of habits that feel comfortable. Finally po, the risks reward. Basahin po natin ulit ang Ruth 3 and to 11. May you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made this last kindness greater than the first, in that you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich. And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you ask. For all my fellow townsmen know that you are a worthy woman. Kung naalala niyo po dati, nung ating pinag-aralan yung Ruth 1 and Ruth 2, nabanggit po natin doon yung connection po to the book of Proverbs, di po ba? This was especially true po for the original audience. Kasi po, in the original Hebrew order of the books, mauna po ang Proverbs before Ruth. Sa Bible po natin ngayon, nauna na ang Ruth before Proverbs. Pero in the original order po, ng mga Hebrews pa po ang time po nila, nauna po ang Proverbs before Ruth. So the last thing the early Hebrew readers would have read in Proverbs 31 was a wife, noble character. Ito po ba sa Proverbs 31, ito po yung natawag nating woman of wisdom or the virtuous woman. And that is the exact Hebrew word that Boaz used here in describing Ruth. Ruth is a picture of Lady Wisdom. Now, why is that, again, especially significant po, di ba? Kasi, ito po, kung naalala natin ito in Ruth chapter 1, I think, sabi po ni Ruth ito kay Boaz, "Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner?" Yung word po dyan na foreigner, hindi lang po bastang foreigner na tagalabas eh. Yung foreigner po dyan, that is the same word po in Proverbs that is called the adulterous woman. Baga po yung woman po na you are supposed to stay away from, the strange woman. Here we find that Ruth is not the foreign woman or the strange woman of Proverbs 5, but instead, she is the woman of valor, the woman of wisdom, the virtuous woman of Proverbs 31. Sabi po natin again, Ruth 3:16 to 18. "And when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, 'How did you fare, my daughter?' And she told her all that the man had done for her, saying, 'These 6 measures of barley he gave to me, for he said to me, you must not go back empty-handed to your mother-in-law.' She replied, 'Wait, my daughter, until you learn how the matter turns out, for the man will not rest, but will settle the matter today.'" Maalala po ba natin yung chapter 1 po dati? Si Naomi po, pabalik siya ng Bethlehem. She was so depressed po. Sinabi niya in chapter 1 verse 21, "I went away full and the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi when the Lord has testified against me and the Almighty has brought calamity upon me?" So, ang significant po niyan is Naomi was saying, the Lord has brought me back empty. Pero kung binasa po natin ulit itong Ruth 3:16 to 18, nung si Ruth po, kinukwento niya kay Naomi, yung kanyang encounter kay Boaz, sinasabi po ni Ruth, sabi sa akin ni Boaz, "Huwag kang babalik sa mother-in-law mo na empty-handed. Ito, mag-uwi ka ulit ng barley." Di ba? Empty. The Lord brought me back empty. Yun ang akala niya eh. Hindi niya alam God was working behind the scenes. And this is God's promise to them in physical form. Makita po nila, sinabi ni Boaz sa kanya, "You will not go back empty-handed." Akala mo lang empty ka, but you will not go back empty-handed. The barley Ruth is bringing Naomi is more than food. It's a promise. God has not left her empty. You can see how God is working to bring about good for Naomi, even as those bitter words were coming out of her mouth. So sinasabi niya pala God has brought me back empty. But God was already working behind the scenes. Now, sometimes po, nararamdaman natin yan eh. And it's easy for us to fall into that trap, di ba? Nararanasan natin yung ganyang seasons, mga ganyang panahon na tayo yung empty. And it's so easy to fall into the trap of bitterness and we will think, ang Diyos ang gumagawa sa akin ito. God has made me empty. God brought me back empty. But we need to remember the story. Sometimes it is when we feel the most empty that God is working the most good. Diba? Hindi lang natin nakikita. This story also connects po with Jesus. Of course, we know eventually, di ba, that Ruth will be the grandmother of David, and of course, David is the ancestor of Jesus. So ultimately, every story in the Bible has to connect to Jesus. So how does this story in particular connect to Jesus? Yung risky faith po. Tayo po as Christians, have we ever experienced having to do something like what Ruth did in this chapter? Having to exercise risky faith. But ano man po yung ginawa natin, whatever it is that we had to do in the risky faith, does it ever compare to the risky faith that Jesus had to do, that Jesus had to exercise? Kung ano man po yung ginawa natin, did it require for us to leave heaven and come to earth? Of course not. Did it require for us to give up glory and power? Of course not. It is only Jesus who had to do that. And bakit po ginawa ng ating Panginoon yun? Again, we see here in Ruth chapter 3 verse 10. Lumabas na naman po yung word na yan, kindness. Sinabi ni Boaz, "May you be blessed by the Lord, my daughter. You have made this last kindness greater than the first, and that you have not gone after young men, whether poor or rich." And again po, we see here po na talagang may age gap na talaga si Boaz at si Ruth. He calls her my daughter, di po ba? And he says, "You did not pursue young men." But again po, kindness. In this chapter, we again see this word, hesed. Yun po yung word dito for kindness. And so far po, from chapter 1, nandun yun. In chapter 2, nandun din. Here in chapter 3 again, hesed. What is hesed? Sometimes we translate it as loyalty, as grace, or love, kindness, faithfulness. But in its original po, wala talaga siyang translation because it is any of those and all of those at the same time. Sabay-sabay po. Loyalty, grace, loyalty, faithfulness, mercy, compassion, all wrapped together in one word as the strongest sense of commitment. And that is the way God feels toward us. That is why He came into this world and took on the risk of God's wrath on the cross so that His hesed toward us could be secured and experienced. Para po ma-experience po natin yung hesed po ng Panginoon. Nabanggit ko na po ito dati. Iba po minsan, syempre may anak tayo tapos napakakulit, nakakainis, ubos ng oras, nakakapagod. Yet, pag inisip nyo, lahat ng pagod na yon, lahat ng inis na yon, okay lang ba wala nang gano'n tapos wala na lang din yung anak? Of course not. Who would wish that na hindi na ako pagod, hindi na ako inis, pero wala din akong anak? Yung anak mo na mahal mo. That is how God feels toward us. Isipin niyo yung mga sarili niyo. Sali po ako doon. Hindi naman tayo nakakatuwa eh. Nakakainis tayo eh. Lahat tayo makasalanan. And yet, when God looks at us, He looks at us that way. Ano pa to eh? I will do everything to save him. I will do everything to save her. That is God's hesed toward us. Ay po manalangin. Aming Ama, salamat po sa umagang ito muli na binigyan niyo po sa amin, Lord, kami po ay mga pag-aaral ng inyong salita. Salamat, Panginoon, sa lessons po yung pong binigay sa amin in your word about faith, Lord, and trusting in you, how you feel about us. Salamat, Panginoon.